Robert Pattinson was never supposed to make it this far. To many, he was just a Twilight guy, a handsome face trapped in a teen phenomenon, doomed to sparkle in the cultural memory forever. But what if I told you that the very thing that once boxed him in became the fuel for one of the most radical career reinventions? This is how Robert Pattinson tore down the image Hollywood created for him and rebuilt himself into one of the most respected actors of his generation. Pattinson's first taste of fame came in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. As Cedric Diggory, he was noble, charming, and tragically heroic. It was a warm-up for superstardom. But just 3 years later, Twilight made him a global icon. Edward Cullen turned Pattinson into a household name, launching a billion-dollar franchise and an army of devoted fans. Yet, beneath the screaming crowds and endless magazine covers, there was a bit of a problem. Pattinson was never taken seriously. He was trapped by the very role that made him famous. The industry saw him as a heartthrob, not a serious actor. And for a while, he seemed stuck in a glittering cage that he simply couldn't escape. Instead of chasing more blockbusters, Pattinson made an unusual choice at the time. He disappeared into indie and the arts house scene, working with filmmakers like David Cronenberg, Claire Denis, and James Gray. He took on roles that were messy, fractured, and defiantly unglamorous. In Cosmopolis, he spent nearly the entire film inside a limo, unraveling as a detached billionaire. In Rover, he played a desperate drifter in the brutal Australian outback. And in The Lost City of Z, he vanished beneath a beard and dirt, nearly unrecognizable as a hardened explorer. These weren't the roles of a movie star, trust me. They were the choices of an actor trying to burn down his old image. Slowly, the industry began to notice. By the late 2010s, Pattinson had shed the Twilight label. His breakout moment came from the Safdie brothers' Good Time, a frenetic thriller where he played a small-time criminal on the run. Critics called it electric, transformative. Suddenly, Pattinson wasn't just reinventing himself. He was one of the best actors working. Then came The Lighthouse. Black and white, claustrophobic, and utterly bizarre. Pattinson went head-to-head with William Dafoe in one of the strangest films of the decade. This was no longer about escaping Twilight. It was about proving he could do anything. After years in the wilderness of indie cinema, Pattinson returned to the mainstream, but this time it was on his own terms. Cast as Batman in Matt Reeves' gritty reboot, Pattinson had brought everything he had learned from a decade of risks. His Batman wasn't polished or heroic. He was raw, paranoid, and broken. A perfect reflection of the journey Pattinson himself had taken. The irony is clear. By rejecting stardom, Pattinson became a star again. Robert Pattinson's story isn't just about a career revival. It's about control. He refused to let Hollywood dictate who he was. He tore down the glittering cage of superstardom and rebuilt his career piece by piece, risk by risk. From teen idol to indie outsider to the Dark Knight himself, I guess. Pattinson didn't just reinvent how audiences saw him. He proved to Hollywood that an actor can define their own story. And maybe that's his greatest performance yet.